Go. Great. So our workshops, like I said, have been recorded. So you can go back and check the information. They should all have the same information, and just me in varying stages of presentation enthusiasm. But we do have that resource available to everybody, and this one should be up, if not today, probably early tomorrow. So I'm going to dive in. There are a lot of folks here. Very happy to have all of you, and I've got a chunk of information to get through. I'm going to go through as quickly as I can, and hopefully as efficiently and helpfully as I can. Please utilize our chat box for questions as they come up. I do have some breakpoints for questions. But depending on how timing is going, it may be that I'll really prioritize the ones that are dropped in chat, and I promise I will answer everything in there as helpfully as I can. All right, so let's get started. All right, we like to start all of our workshops and all of our events with a land acknowledgement, recognizing the Nacotchtank and the Piscataway people, the first residents of the land that would become the District of Columbia. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We pay respects to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events, and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. All right, so we are the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. We were established in 1968, and we are an independent agency in the District of Columbia government. We evaluate and initiate action on matters relating to arts and humanities and encourage programming. We are the designated state arts agency for the District of Columbia, and we are supported primarily through district government funds and in part by the National Endowment for the Arts. Nope, I went too far. Some accessibility notes as we continue. Just so everybody knows, on our website, we do have Google Translate services. There is a little box, and the lights in my office just went off, so I'm going to shift around ever so slightly, and maybe I'll light up properly. But if you are using our website and you need another language service, at least I can say myself, we do have that Google box, and you can select a language from the drop-down menu. I make no promises about the quality of the translation, only that it is available. For additional accommodation requests regarding access and inclusion, we do ask that you contact us at cahaccessibility@dc.gov. no later than 5 business days before the start of an event. That is our new email address. We have a new accessibility outreach process. So cahaccessibility@dc.gov, and we will get back to you. And then for any other questions you have, you can email us at cah@dc.gov. All right. And just a little plug here, because it's always important for us. We do need grant review panelists. Our panelists are really integral to the grant making process. So we are working on grant making, and when we do our panels and our panel review, we are relying on our community members to help us with that grant making review process. So we are recruiting panelists. We'll have a big push in a few days or weeks soon. So if you are interested, we are also interested, and you can find more information about that on our website. It is a paid opportunity. We pay about $250 with gift cards for that. All right. Okay, so let me go through the agenda for today. I know that seemed like we got started, but really there's an agenda now. So I'm going to go over some of the basics, which is what we've already done, the staff and cohorts, eligibility and deadline, and then I'll dive into the application itself, the required questions, narratives, and uploads, a little bit of how to navigate the portal and some required documents, and that should take us to the end of the day. For folks who are returning, who may have applied for this grant in prior years. It is virtually unchanged from the last few years. It is basically the same questions and the same setup. So, stick around, have a little listen, but things should look pretty familiar to you. Okay. So this program, this is the Arts and Humanities Fellowship. This is an award that is given to artists and to individuals to support their work for their continued arts and humanities work. It is for DC-based, DC resident arts and humanities practitioners above the age of 18. We do need you to be an adult. And then how much is the award for? The award is a flat award amount. We do endeavor to award as many people as possible. This is, however, a competitive grant, and do keep that in mind. We have had a growing number of applicants that is not matched by a growing amount of money. But we do try to award as many people as we can in a meaningful way. But just as a reference point for the current year, the award amount was $7,000 per person who was awarded. And do I need a specific project? No, you do not. There is no specific project required for this grant. It is an open grant. You may use the funds if you are awarded however you need to in order to support your artistic practice. We do ask for a report at the end of the cycle. And for the fellowship, we are not asking for specifics. I am not going to ask you for receipts or specific documentation about how the award was spent. Really, we are checking in to make sure that you got the money and, how was the year? How did it go? So you can use that however you need to. You can spend it on rent, you can spend it on facilities rental, you can spend it on supplies, however you need it to go. All right, so my first drink break. Here is our grants management staff. This is a large program, as you may imagine. And so we do have a lot of grant managers here that work on the program. I am Carrie. So I am here for your general responses and general questions. You can always reach out to me, and I'll make sure that I put my email address here in the chat as well. And if you just have a question, any sort of query, you can always send a message to me. However, I may not be the right person to answer that question. And for that, I have some wonderful colleagues, including for dance, Marcia Howard, and myself for design. Patience Rowe for Go-Go Artists, Kayla Williams for Humanities, Tanya Myers for Interdisciplinary, Mauricio Pita for Media, Robert Nunez for Music, Andrea Brown for Teaching Artists, and Sherry Feldman for Theater and Performing Arts, and Danielle Gray for Visual Arts. We do have, as I said, a lot of folks. If you reach out to one of us, we'll get you in contact with the right person. But feel free to reach out to anyone. If you have a relationship with a grant manager here for any reason, you've talked to them about another program, feel free to reach out. We do like each other. We do talk to each other. We'll get you the right person. Okay. So let's eligibility. We'll do a quick refresh here. We would like for you to be an artist, arts professional, or humanities practitioner, at least 18 years of age at the time of application. We need you to be a District of Columbia resident. This is a district resident grant for at least 1 year prior to the submission deadline. To have a permanent DC address as listed on government issued identification or tax returns. We cannot use a PO box as a permanent address. However, if you are experiencing homelessness or any kind of housing instability at the time of application, just reach out to us. Please reach out to us so we can work with you and make sure we can, figure something out. Really for any sort of questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to work with people and talk through a lot of different situations. But we do also then would like DC residency through the entire granting fiscal year period, which is October of 25 to September 26. This question has come up where folks have said, I might have a thing happening in August of 26. Should I not apply? You should apply. Just to keep us in the loop. And another thing where if you have concerns or questions, that's what we're here for. And we're happy to work with folks one-on-one on different things. Be in good standing with CAH. Generally speaking, what we mean there is, nothing outstanding with us, no issues. If you owed us a report from a prior year because you received a grant from us in the past, make sure you're all up to date on those reports. We're all, we've probably reached out to you if that's an issue. And then be current on all taxes and liabilities owed to the district or have an approved plan as demonstrated by a certification of clean hands. I'm going to talk some more about clean hands later in the presentation, so we'll table that discussion for now. All right. So eligible individuals may submit one application for the program as accessible through our website, dcarts.dc.gov. We would need to receive those applications by 10 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, June 26, 2025. That is next Thursday, 10 p.m. Staff will be available. I will be online up until that deadline. So we're there with you. And all applications do need to be submitted online through the grants portal. I had a couple questions come through here. If you're involved in an ongoing arts project started in 25 that will finalize in 26, yeah, go ahead and proceed. Shouldn't be an issue with that. And I think we're okay. And a couple of other questions. I did get a question about how significant have any of our budgetary cuts been. We're actually not done with our budget, so I don't know yet. So I don't have an answer on that yet. But stay tuned. We just had our budget hearing last week. Yes, and please do not wait until 9 p.m. on deadline day. That's usually when things start to get a little creaky and broken in the system. 9 a.m. is great. But we will be around if there are any technical problems or things or people are dealing with anything, do reach out to us. Like I said, I'll be online until that deadline. Okay, I'm going to keep moving forward about the application itself. So some things about the application. I'm going to mute Lucy real quick. Sorry, I'm gathering with it. So the application information, we're going to need your name, your address, all that good stuff. We have some narrative questions for you. These are short answer questions. And then work samples, which are going to depend on your cohort and your art medium. Roughly speaking, that's going to be 10 images or 2 5-minute audio-visual recordings, or 10 to 15 pages of a writing sample, or a reasonable mix of different forms. And then some compliance documents that we need for eligibility and processing. So that discipline in the cohort, this application is open to 10 disciplines that we have identified for the purpose of panel organization. For that, what we're really looking for is the right kind of people. Panelists are looking at your work. We want your work to be viewed by people who understand your work and understand what you do. So broadly speaking, we have identified those categories as dance, design arts, go-go artists, humanities, that's going to be a lot of your writers, interdisciplinary, media, music, teaching artists, theater, and visual arts. A couple of notes on a few of these things. Interdisciplinary is a category we have identified for artists who maybe their work exists across multiple disciplines and does not fit neatly into one category. A lot of times we'll find folks like curators in the interdisciplinary category. It is not multidisciplinary where you do multiple things. It is an intertwined, your practice is drawing from a couple of different categories. And for most of these, we are taking a pretty broad understanding of what these art forms are. Let's do that. If you are unsure of what discipline you choose, we recommend, you don't have to choose it and be locked in until the application's done. But look at your statement, look at your work samples and support materials you plan to upload. Choose the category that is reflecting that statement. And then if you are still unsure, contact a grant manager. You know, we have these conversations all the time. We are very happy to have these conversations. But you know, an example of how you might go about this decision process, when I am not here at the commission, I have my own artistic practice. I do a lot of textile arts. And I might be pulling together a bunch of things and trying to figure out if I fit more as a design artist, or maybe I'm more of a visual artist. And then I actually sit down and look at my work samples and I say, wow, all of these are actually about me as an instructor, and the teaching that I do in the communities that I work in. And at that point, I may have spent a whole lot of time thinking I'm deciding between design and visual arts, and really what I am is a teaching artist. And I'm basing that off of the work samples that I'm doing, that I'm looking at, and the support materials I might use. So we have that conversation a lot. We're very happy to have that conversation with you if that is something you are wrestling with. Also, just a note, if we feel on the back end when we are reviewing your applications after the deadline that you have opted for the wrong category, we will reach out. We generally trust you, but every once in a while there is an application where we know something got misclicked, or we feel something is a little off. And if that is a case, we will reach out to you. You will hear from us and we'll have a conversation. We're not going to reassign anybody without getting confirmation from you. Okay. So some things that are going to be in the application as you log in: your name as it appears on your official tax documentation. Have you applied in the last 5 years? Have you received a grant in the last 5 years? And has your address changed in the past 12 months, or are you planning to move in the next 12 months? All of this is just informational. It does not impact your ability, your eligibility, or anything else with the grant application. It is really just an informational thing for us. And then we have our questions. We have a narrative section where we're going to ask a couple of questions, 3 questions from you. And we do recommend you compose your answers in another program and then cut and paste that text into the portal. It's just easier for editing. But those 3 statements are going to be your artistic statement, your work statement, and your community statement. Broadly speaking, we're asking you, why do you do what you do? What is it that you do? And why are you in DC? What is it that makes you a DC artist? So digging into those 3 questions a little bit more. The artist statement of why do you do this? Our panelists are looking to get a picture of who you are as an applicant. What is the passion that drives you? How did you come to the art? All these things. And in the guidelines, and I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but we do have a request for applications, a full formal RFA on our website. And I do recommend that everybody read through that as you apply, because what is in there is what we are guiding the panelists to review on. And so seen here, part of the artist statement is going to link up with the review criteria of the applicant are demonstrating in creative original theories and ideas, and or you are preserving and interpreting traditional art forms. And that your statements and your work samples are demonstrating a personal voice and an artistic vision, a clear and unified body of work, a sense of who they are. Next up is the work statement, or what do you do? And this is a chance for you to talk about your work samples to your panelists. So maybe you want to talk about your work in more detail, the materials that you use, the inspiration that guided you, or some guidance on how the work should be viewed. Your statement and your work samples are working together to demonstrate your technical capabilities within a chosen discipline, and your work samples should match your chosen cohort and support your artist statement. And then finally, the community statement is why here. So your work as an artist, how are you inspired by the district? How do you contribute to the arts and humanities communities in the district? We're not asking you to do art that is, explicitly DC based, but really just kind of a sense of how you work within your artistic and humanities communities, how your work intersects and works with and impacts those communities. And that may be as small as the street you live on, the building you live in, the neighborhood you are in, the writers group and artist collective that you are part of, or the region you are a part of. As we get into how your work engages and reflects to our residents and visitors, or represents DC far and away. Are you, because you are still a DC artist, whether you are here at home or if you are anywhere on the East Coast or across the country or around the world, how are you still a representative of DC? Okay. All right. I had a couple questions come in. I'm going to focus on the questions that came through in the chat. If a writing work sample are we able to is limited to about 10-15 pages, are we able to submit more than one sample, or is there a requirement to submit only one? You can submit up to a page count. So if we've gotten this question a couple times. If you have a bunch of short works, you have short essays, or you've got a blog post and a chapter of something, or poems, that's fine. We're just trying to we have up to a page count, but you can use it however you need to. If we want to show work samples that are older, does that make us less competitive? Is there a requirement about showing recent work? Yes, we're going to get to that when we talk about work samples. Okay, great. I'm gonna keep us moving forward just because I got a lot of stuff to get through. Okay, so we had our questions, then we've got some application documents. Your artistic resume, your work samples, and your support materials. Your artist resume or CV, this is really what we want here is your artist work. We want to see a resume or a CV of your artistic and humanities work. The style of that is very much up to you. We do not have any specifics on how it should be formatted. You tell us what it should look like. You could also give us a list of projects that have been completed within the last 3 years. Maybe this is your headshot and resume. Maybe this is your website CV. We really want to focus on your artworks. Your work samples. So the requirements and limits are really going to depend on your arts and humanities discipline. And if you have questions about how your practice might fit into a cohort, again, please reach out to a grant manager. But overall, your work samples should be no more than 3 years old. So we're looking for things that are 2022 and younger. The one exception we have for this is if you have a work that you have been working on for a decade or 2 or 3, that's okay as long as you are still working on it. So if it's the kind of thing where you've been documenting the changes in your neighborhood and the tree in your yard for the last 40 years, that's great. As long as you're still documenting it, we want to see where it started and where it is. That's okay. We know that some projects do take a long time to complete. So that is fine as long as you are still working on it. And those most recent pieces should be no more than 3 years old. But in general, some things to note. Image files, we want JPEGs or PNGs. iPhones tend to have an image file type called an HEIC. It does not work well with our portal, so JPEGs. Audio files and MP3. Document files, all of our documents, anything you upload, please upload it as a PDF. Please, I'm begging you. We are Windows-based here. I cannot open a numbers or pages file off of a Mac very easily. And I know that folks in reverse that are Mac-based do not do well with Word and Excel. So PDF, please. Let us help you with that if you need help. I saw a question pop up on, is there a max size for JPEG and PNG? There is. I just don't know what it is off the top of my head, but that is in our guide to grants, and I will drop a link to that in the chat in a few minutes. And then video files, a YouTube link, a Vimeo link, and an MP4. I did see a question about a trick to loading the MP4s. They have been a bit of a chore this year, and we're working on it. So the guidance really there is, if it is possible, upload it to YouTube or Vimeo. Those have a direct connection embed coding within our portal that works really well. Please feel free to have things be unlisted or password protected if you do not want them publicly available, and reach out to us again if you have any questions on that or guidance. But overall, no matter what samples you are using, if you want panelists to see your work, it needs to be in the portal. We do not want a list of outside links. We do not want to see a link that says, oh, check out my work here, visit my website here, visit my SoundCloud or my Instagram or any of those things. It needs to be in the portal. It has to be uploaded. We will not be guiding our panelists to go outside. So just keep that in mind as we go. I am pulling up the guide to grants now, and I am going to drop that in the chat. And that has the maximum size for all of these things. MP4s, I think there has been a little bit of an issue with the size for uploading, but I am going to work on that. Okay, great. And then finally, support materials. Support documents reflect, these are going to reflect your practice. They serve to strengthen the application and provide additional information that directly relates to your work. These do not replace a work sample, though. And there's a very broad interpretation of support materials. This might be contracts for upcoming work or past work. This might be reviews, playbills, programs, awards, letters of support, proof of sale, a shout out in an article, a screenshot of somebody shouting you out on Instagram or something else. All of these count as support materials. Again, what we're looking for is, we'd prefer this to be the more recent stuff. It can be a little bit older if it's still relevant. It is a very broad understanding of what are support materials. My general guidance is, if it do not go above and beyond, you do not need to solicit reviews or letters of support if that is not something you would normally have. But if it is something you have at hand or is easy to get, great to have. Is there an age limit? Again, we would love to see things mostly from the last 3 years, but if you've got something a little bit older that is still good, you know, it would be okay to include. We just don't need to see stuff that might be 40 years old. Being very generous about it. On a couple, I'm gonna hop my way through some of these questions that came through. Thank you, by the way, folks who have been using the chat. Very helpful for me to track. If you are an artist who has a few music videos, is there a preference for musicians to post strictly music? Could it be advantageous or disadvantageous? That feels like a Robert question. Not really. There's not really a specific anything specifically that counts as being advantageous or disadvantageous. I have seen almost every type of configuration for grant applications now, so it is what makes sense. But Robert would love to talk to you about that, and I'm going to drop his email in the chat for you. For the musicians. Slightly pre-COVID, as there was if it makes sense. You know, I know we're still dealing with some of the lingering impact of COVID, but just, you know, keep an interest. Is anybody else experiencing an issue with audio? Am I a problem? I could be. Okay. I'll let you all sort that part out. Okay. Great. So I'm going to talk about the working through the portal. So on our website, which is dcarts.dc.gov, there is a section for programs, and from the drop-down menu is grants. This is not the exact layout. We did a little bit of a redesign, but really it's just about the order of things at the top. Programs, grants, find us. When you get to the grants page, It will look like this. You will find our current funding opportunities, our closed funding opportunities, links to the Eventbrite and other support for assistance, and then a whole list of links for our resources, including the guide to grants, including the portal, including any paperwork we're going to ask for. Useful to have a lot of resources there, but there will be a link to the grant portal. When you click on that, it should bring you here to our grants portal. If you already have an application, if you already have an account, you're going to sign in at the very small sign in button. If you are brand new to us, you will sign up with the sign up today button. And this is a good time to just double check and make sure that your name and address is still accurate in the grants portal, and it should match the name and address you use on your grants documentation, including your W-9 and statement of certification. I'll get to those. When you start your application, just a quick note about naming yourself. Your applicant profile name is the government name. That's the one that goes on official documents and tax returns and things like that. Your request name, or your applicant doing business as, this is your working name, how you would like to be referred to, the name you use, the name you would like to have appearing in any public documents. That's what that name is for. So we need we need the government name for some things, and then we need your the name that we would use to speak of you and to speak with you is you're going to be your applicant doing business as. Your arts and humanities practitioner type. This is a very, very long list. And this is the one that we get from the NEA. This one, you can identify yourself however you wish. So this would be the things, I worked with visual artists for many years. You can say that you're a painter, or you can get down to I'm a watercolorist. This part is really informational. Like I said, identify yourself however you feel comfortable. It's the discipline for panel cohorts that we're going to be paying more attention to. That is where we're going to ask you to be sorting yourself into cohorts for panel review and for your application. Okay, work samples. This is the fun one. So when you start your application, and when you start one, you'll be able to have the button here that says new application. Then when you have started it, it will exist down here in your requests section as a draft until you submit it. And you can see your open applications and your submitted applications. So if you did like something from a prior year, let's say you really loved your artist statement last year, and you want to reuse some or all of it, that's okay. If you forgot what it was, it should be there in submitted applications, and you can go back and look at those resources. It is okay to reuse materials from a prior application if you still stand by them and they are still relevant and they are still within that 3-year range. We do try to have a new group of panelists look at materials every year. So we are not dealing with folks who might say, oh, I think I saw this already a year ago. We are trying to make sure we get some new people, but we know that your work samples are still going to be good sometimes. Great, so you start your application. When you are in your application, you're going to have those short answer questions and a couple of things, and then we're going to get into your work samples and uploads and your documents. In this section, the work samples and uploads, this is where that work statement is going to go. It's also where we can add some work samples. If you have media to attach, that's going to be video, audio, and images. Anything that's not a document, you'll attach media from your media library. So in the top left corner, you have a section for your closed applications, which are prior applications, your media library, and your document library. The media library is where those work samples will go to live. Your document library is where you might want to throw some paperwork that you would like us to retrieve. Or if you just want to make sure you've got some forms saved there. But When you are ready to attach media, you will click the button that says Attach Media from Library. Inside this media library, and in your media viewer, you will upload all those materials. You can upload as much stuff as you want. If you want to upload 20 photos, 20 images, and then curate your 10 out of that, that's fine. Totally great. If you want to review materials that you have uploaded in prior years, they should still be there. It will live there in your media files. When you are ready to attach them, though, you will, well, actually, let me go back into this. Here's the media library. Here's where we upload things. So we've got JPEG, PNG, GIFs. We can take your MP4s. We can take an MP3. The description is where you can title your work here. If you have anything that we need to look at a timestamp on, let's say you have a 20-minute performance and you want us to focus on 5 minutes of it, tell us here, this is my spring recital. Please view 7:012 through 12:03. Give us the timestamps. Or if it is password protected, spring recital, password, spring. If you have a YouTube or a Vimeo link, you'll drop those links here and it should directly embed the file, so we don't need to go to an outside website. After you've uploaded everything, you're going to attach them to the application here. So in the media viewer, you'll click on Attach Media from Library. It will open a pop-up window. Great to just make sure, if you're not seeing this, that you have your pop-up blocker temporarily turned off, because you do want this window to show up. And then you will click on the name and the title of the work and it will attach to the application, and that will be great. Just a note though, if you are uploading images, they do not view in the order you attach them in. They will reorder into an alphabetical order. I really like to my recommendation for that has been just a quick prefix, a number at the start of it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E, whatever works best for you with your regular title, to just keep everything in one spot, or in an order that matters to you. Great. Yeah. And then down here under the media viewer is the required documents. There is a section here for work sample. So if you are a writer or if you have a PDF based work sample, that is where it's going to go. And it will live down there. And I'm going to go ahead and take this question. If you're a writer whose work is performed, like a playwright or a performance spoken word artist, is there anything wrong with submitting media of performance of your work? There is nothing wrong with submitting media of performance of your work. That sounds great. If you have any questions though about that, do please reach out to grant managers. We're very happy to talk with anybody about samples and things. Okay, I feel like I got through a lot. Let me just make sure I get any of these questions here. Should we avoid posting a sample or support materials that we included in a previous submission? Nope. Go ahead and use things if they are still relevant and you still feel strongly about them. This is a great time to curate and review some of the work you have if you are a repeat applicant and you have a bunch of things. But we do not have a requirement that it has to be all new. If you are an artist who has also done curatorial work, should you upload images of the exhibit as work samples? That would be useful, probably, if it makes sense. I think I am understanding that we ignore the work sample prompt in the required documents if we are not writers. That was confusing before. Yes, but you have to put something in that section or the form will say that this is incomplete. The program will say this is incomplete. If you do not have something to go in that section, you can put in a placeholder document. It can be just a blank PDF that says not applicable or see media samples, and that would be fine. That is totally okay. The max all of the information about our size files is in the guide to grants. So I do recommend folks refer to the guide to grants for anything like that. Is there somewhere we can watch this recording afterwards? Yes. That is going to be on our YouTube page. I'm going to, I had that link earlier today, and I will pull that up again, and I will make sure that's in here. Message. Okay. Okay, okay. I'm going to keep going through the forms. Okay, so all of the other things that we've included, we also need proof of DC residency. This can be a driver's license or ID card or an alternate proof of residency. We need a statement of certification, the IRS form W-9, and the certificate of clean hands. And I saw a question come in about clean hands. I promise I'm about to answer so many clean hands questions. All right, so private proof of residency. We need some proof that you are a DC resident. This can be your license, an ID card, or I like to think of it as voter registration rules. We need some other alternative proof of residency. This might be a lease. This might be a utility bill or a bank statement. Please, please, please redact out any sensitive information. I do not need to see your account numbers. I do need to see that you're a resident. And just a reminder, a passport is not proof of residency in the city. The statement of certification, we have this on our website as well. This is a document that is required by DC for all grant making activities. And what this is effectively is it is permission for someone to negotiate on your behalf for the grant. You are self-certifying. So you are going to negotiate for yourself. You are self-certifying. So we're going to need to, on the front page, we need your name. You're an individual. The grant program is going to be AHFP or fellowship, and just your information on this first page. The first page and the fourth page are the ones that you sign. The middle two pages are just for information. But on this, we do need a signature. And for all signatures that we need for forms with us, it does need to be a manual signature in some way. It's got to be either ink or done with a finger or a verified e-signature. Do reach out to us if you run into any problems with that. This was the slide I keep not fixing. We do need an IRS form W-9 from you. It needs to be the most recent up-to-date version, which is the March 2024 version. Somebody somewhere still has a December 2010 version, and I am so impressed, but I need a 2024. The name here should match all the documents in the portal. This is the government name. You are applying as an individual for this, and the address must be in DC. For the fellowship grant, we do need your tax ID to be your social security number. For the way that this grant is set up and is paid out through the government, we are paying you as an individual, not you as a sole proprietor or an LLC. So we do need to have this be under your social. And again, signed. Print it out, sign it, and scan it. If you've got a phone or a tablet where you can sign with a finger, that's great. If you have Adobe or DocuSign, also great. If you run into problems with this, again, please, please, please reach out to us so we can help. Okay, clean hands. As promised. You get this from the Office of Tax and Revenue on the MyTaxDC website, mytax.dc.gov. You download a PDF of your certificate. So important. If you are unable to attain a certificate of clean hands by the deadline of June 26 at 10 p.m., you can still apply for the grant. You just need to tell us what's going on. So you need to reach out to us, make sure we know what's going on and that we are part of this. But if it's we have a question here about red tape. Just make sure we know what's happening. We can work through it. But here's an important thing. If you are registering for Clean Hands for the first time, you are going to register and request a certificate of clean hands. If you have received a certificate of clean hands, which looks like this, after April of 2020, you do not need to go through the entire request process. You can validate. So on your certificate of clean hands, there's a notice number in the top right-hand corner. It starts with an L and it's about 12 digits long. So you take that to the MyTax website, and under clean hands, there's a couple of boxes, and one is clean hands specifically. It's got a smiley lady. She's wearing a blue shirt. She is open. She has a business. I've been inventing a backstory for her for weeks. And there are 3 options there: request, validate, and learn more. Again, if this is the first time you are dealing with clean hands, you are going to request. If this is not the first time getting clean hands, you will validate. You click on the validation, and then you're going to follow some prompts. Using that notice number, so the L and the last 4 digits of your social, it should give you a new clean hands. It should tell you either that you are fine and here it is, or it might say that you have that you are non-compliant. What non-compliant means is that you owe the district more than $100. That could be any number of things. That could be a parking ticket, that could be quarterly taxes, that could be something far worse. If you get a notice of non-compliance, that's okay. You can upload that, that's fine, and just tell us, hey, I'm going to work on this. Because it's great for you to check in on these things. We're not going to disqualify you because it's not because you don't have clean hands right now. And this is just a much faster process than trying to go through the whole thing. I know there's a lot of odd red tape and things in the past for clean hands. Validation is great. We all love to be validated. I spent a lot of time on this one. Any form that you have received after April 2020 will work, just so you know. So if you last got a clean hands in 2021, it should still work. The validation number, the notice number should still work. I did see a couple of questions pop up about if I got a recent one or a, I've got a clean hands from 2 months ago or 3 months ago or things like that. You can use those, just go ahead and submit them. We'd like fresh, but if that's what you have available, use that, please use that. So yeah, if you have a certificate from March of 2025, I'm going to allow it. But it's also fun to just check in, and it's a fun little thing to do. I like validating stuff. I do a lot of paperwork. Okay, I feel like I've spent enough time on clean hands. And just a reminder for everything, save and upload grant applications as PDF files, please, please, please. And we would love to have your name and address be consistent on all application materials. If there are any discrepancies, that's where things get slowed down for us when we are processing things internally here. And again, always contact a grant manager for any questions you may have. Okay. Just a quick timeline check-in so everybody knows what happens after the application is submitted. We here at the staff will review applications for eligibility and completion. We might reach out to you if there is something not showing or something is incorrect or anything like that. And then we sort those applications into cohorts for panelist review. Those panelists will review and score the applications, and then we here at the staff will calculate the award amounts and how many awards we can give. Those recommendations are submitted up to our commissioners, who will make the final vote and determination. On or after October 1, our fiscal year starts on October 1st, 2026. 2025, I'm sorry, October 1, that's the start of our fiscal year. Let's go with that. So on or after that date, we will announce the awards. If you are awarded, we will ask that you complete and return any forms that we need, and we will walk you through the DIFS payment system. All applicants, whether you are awarded or not, may request panel feedback notes from us starting in November of 2025. We just ask for the month of October to kind of get ourselves sorted and situated so we can better serve you. And then if you are awarded, payments are made and are sent out after required paperwork and registrations. Again, sometime on or after October 1, 2025, and we will ask for a report in the following year. So if you do have an award for this year, because I know there are some folks out there who do have an award, reports are coming. You got a few months. Okay, I had some questions that came through. I spent some time with a lovely person at at My Tax DC trying to get a password. And if it's not fixed by the deadline, can I submit a clean hands from March 25 as a placeholder? Yes, you can, but also you can try that validation thing just for funsies. If you were required to submit a W-9 a month or two ago, can you use the same one? Yes, that's fine. Can I use a clean hands that I received last year? Unfortunately, no. I do need something more recent. But if you do have a clean hands from last year, that validation process is fairly smooth and painless. It's great. Highly recommend. Is a certificate from March of 2025 okay to use? It's probably fine. I'm not sure what an NAICS code is. We might need to dig into that one more. W-9 forms from this year should be okay. I do need to have a 2025 signature date on it. If there are any address discrepancies, the clean hands system tends to update addresses slowly. So don't worry too much about that. If we have an issue, we'll do that. When will we know the grant amounts for FY26? Not for a while. We are still finalizing our budget, and we will have that information probably later in the year. Are the rubrics for artists be judged? Yes, they are publicly accessible. All of our rubrics are in the RFA. I do recommend everybody read the RFA. Do not just rely on this workshop to guide you through the application. We have a request for application with all of the information in it, including the rubric for scoring. I have an outstanding application for a project grant. I'm guessing that's the PEF grant. Can I still apply for this? Yes, you may. You may receive, you may apply for, and you may also receive both. Right. Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep going. So live chats, I know all of these times are in the past, but we do have live chats on Fridays from 2 to 3. This Friday, the 20th, is our last live chat. Our offices are closed on Thursday in observance of Juneteenth, but we will be back in on Friday. So we will have a live chat on Friday. I think I have that registration up on Eventbrite, but I'll make sure that it is up there, and feel free to use that. And we are done with our workshops. This is the last workshop that we have here for this program. Our prior workshops are all up on our YouTube channel. I think dropped that link a few times, but on our YouTube page, you can find our prior workshops, and you can also reach out to us at any time. We can do a review of your applications. If you have received, if you are ready for review, or you want to do a walkthrough of your application with a grant manager, we can do that. We just need to have you on our schedule by close of business this Friday. So please reach out to us by 5 p.m. on Friday, June 20th. And we'll go from that. If you can we ask questions that get answers when we view the YouTube video? They are not live. It's just a recording. If you do have any questions, do reach out to us. You can reach out to me. My email is pretty open. I am certain I have a bunch of emails sitting in my inbox even now, but I try to be as responsive as I can be. And that was it. That was the whole workshop, just under an hour working on it. But yes, we are available. I'm going to go back to that list of emails so that you can get that information. But yes, I do recommend everybody read the RFA and reach out to us with any questions you may have. I have so many slides. Here we go. Great. So yes, thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here. I'm going to drop a couple of things into the chat here again, just so everybody has access to them. And we will see you soon. We are here to answer any questions and to help as we go. So yeah, please do not hesitate to reach out. I know we've got a lot of things going on, and I'm actually going to stop recording